Hi. How are you?
Hi, Shannon Elaine.
Hi, Tori Alamaze.
I am well and intact.
Yes.
I look cute.
Yes, you do. I had to
Okay.
have my have my lipstick and my
Yeah.
coffee for this. You see what I did there? Yeah, yeah.
See,
Yes.
this is my book too. My
It
book.
is. It's
Yes.
beautiful.
Yes.
We'll have to talk about that
We're
too.
having Earl Grey. What are you having?
Ooh. This is my COVID quarantine
It's your
coffee pod. I don't know,
your
something.
quarantine tea. I love it.
Oh my
I love
goodness.
it.
So we have there's 8 people who are here with us already. And I was just asking one of the moms on here. She said that she is drinking wine while her her triplet sons are asleep. And I was like, "How old are they?" And she said 20 months.
She should enjoy some wine.
Okay.
In
Exactly.
fact, leave your address. I would send you.
Right.
You have triplets that are 20.
And boys, I just
Kudos to
no.
you, Mama.
That's what I
Kudos to
say.
you. You are
Exactly.
awesome. That's amazing.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Tori.
Oh, thank you, Shannon, for having me.
Okay.
I'm hoping the people on, so this is going to show up on my end, let my followers know that I'm live.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. This
So
is good.
is it okay that I want to share a little bit about how I met you real quick. Okay.
That's the key. That's
It's
important.
it is. So Tori and I met when I was in college. Um, if you saw, which I'm sure you saw my post today, you saw all the things that Tori has done with her life. I'm sure there's others to add to the list, but she is a singer and songwriter, and I met her when we were planning to go on tour. So I was her background dancer
And
in
tell them the
Atlanta.
song, the big song that we
The
toured with.
the big song that we toured with is the song "Don't Ya," that was re-recorded by Pussycat Dolls.
But
Right.
the original version is
Tell me.
Tori Alamaze.
Oh, yeah. I was like, does it have a different title?
Yes, we went to Hawaii. We had a blast,
We
didn't we?
did through the South. It was so much fun.
Yes.
Um, and I met you. It was a very pivotal time, I think. College is when, at least for me, where I felt like I was forming myself, and to meet you, and you're so grounded, and so multifaceted, right? Like even at that point,
Mm.
just just how you brought me into your life and the things that you taught me. I mean, I still remember you were like, "Honey, okay, so if you're on tour with me, you need to be cute." So you taught me one, how to fly well, right, and to look presentable when you get off the plane,
Yes.
right? To fly with a carry-on that had your essentials in it, just in case your luggage got
And you
lost.
got to be ready. You
You
never
have
know
to
what's
be
happening.
ready.
Yes.
And then we had at that point, I think I don't know if you were using it too, but vitamin C spray
Of course.
that you spray on
Rose water all the
rose,
time.
exactly,
In
when
fact,
you're on the plane.
let me grab my rose water.
And I have some now too. My
Because it's
husband now has
essential.
it. I
Every
put
mommy
him
should
on.
have this. You must
It's
have
so
rose
good.
water. You have to hydrate as you go.
Yes,
Bam.
yes, you do.
Yes. I put a
So,
little bit on. I just a little moisturized. Yes.
so you taught me all the things.
Yes.
Just as I feel like a big sister, a mentor, a person in the industry that just helped mold me, and really has influenced me to today. So I want to say thank you for
Thank
that,
you. Thank you, Shannon.
and then of course for joining us tonight. So please introduce yourself how you like, and let's get chatting.
Well, first, I'm so grateful for this opportunity because this is the space that I would like to venture more into. And I told you yesterday that I'm just so proud of you as a new mother to your second child, that you have made the intentional effort to continue to walk in whatever that idea that's been pulling on you, and you're still with a 6-week-old and a 3-year-old continue to walk forward in that version of you that you want to see come to fruition. So hats off to you, because nobody will complain if you chose to go to sleep at this season in your life. No one.
Thank you. Yep.
So I completely honor that and respect that. And for me, I am a singer, I'm a songwriter, I am an author. I released 2 books in 3 years. I am a social entrepreneur, which means I create events that's designed to normalize supporting ideas. I am, what else am I? It's something else I feel like I'm missing. Oh, I'm an accountability coach to moms.
Yeah. It's like
That's
entrepreneur.
That's a new venture, meaning new in that I'm learning how to serve in that space and to set up offerings and courses in that space to help connect, to help keep mothers connected and accountable to their yes. I am so fortunate. I meet mothers with supreme talents, with audacious ideas, and multiple skills and disciplines. And oftentimes, once we become mothers, particularly in that early season of mommying, which is usually under the age of kids under the age of 10, oftentimes from my discovery is I have a 5-year-old, by the way, and I lost 3 babies before I had her. So it took us 7 years to have Offset, my daughter now, who's 5. But I have discovered that a lot of times these amazing women, amazing moms, can sometimes, once they become mothers, have their ideas or their dreams get buried. And as the years go by, as the weeks go by, the months go by, they can get buried further and further and further away, especially if you don't have a community, a tribe, support. And I don't mean support like you can do it. It's more like, well, what's the next step? Because right now I got a baby on this breast. I got a 3-year-old that's about to run across the street. I got a husband that's looking at me like, where's dinner? Or whatever is happening around you. I have work, I have obligations, and that whisper, that pull, that nudge is still there. It still visits you at night. It still is there in the morning when you wake up, and it's just pulling you. It's constantly there. You can't ignore it, and you know who you are. So having a person who keeps you connected to that, having a person who holds you accountable to that, brick by brick, step by step, particularly in the early seasons of mommying, is essential to you really walking in the grandest version of yourself, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. How did you get there? So, and I don't know how much you want to share about your previous pregnancies, but
I'm very transparent about that because
okay.
it's healing for me to share my story, and I feel like I was given that assignment so that I honestly am grateful that my children even chose me to come through, because I feel like they used me as a vessel to get to their next assignment, and that they knew I would be okay. And sure, I cry at times. Sure, I miss them at times. Sure, I wonder, of course, at times. My son was born in '07. We named him Issa. And we had boy-girl twins in 2011. And we named them Azza and Solomon. So I will always say their names. If you had losses to other moms, I encourage you to always shout and acknowledge and say your children's names, because they count. So, it's been it was a 7-year journey for us, and we were really blessed with having Offset. And one of the major things that I talk about when I am invited to spaces like Infant Loss and Awareness Month in October, when I am invited to hospitals to speak, I talk about a procedure called transabdominal cerclage, or the short version is TAC. And I find that I don't know a lot of women of color who've had that procedure. And that procedure is particularly a procedure that holds your cervix, or stitches your cervix so that you can carry full term and you're not on bed rest, and you're able to move and function like a normal pregnant person, which is what I was blessed with. And so that's the only reason I was able to give birth and carry my daughter full term. So I'm constantly preaching and advocating for women who've had losses to talk to your doctors and ask them about transabdominal cerclage.
Thank you for that. And you said Dr. Jackie did that. Is that you found her? She
Dr.
was
Jackie was my OBGYN before I moved to DC in 2014. And then I had to, she recommended a doctor because there's not a lot of doctors. You can count on one hand the doctors that perform this specific procedure. And at the time I had my losses, I was told that there was one doctor in Georgia that performed it and he was getting ready to retire.
oh my gosh.
And so I was divinely led to Dr. Jackie Walters, and she actually knew a doctor at Northside, Dr. Kevin Gomez, who performed the procedure. And it just, I got pregnant and had my daughter flawless, had a
Wow.
flawless pregnancy and delivery. And when I was breastfeeding her in that first year, before we moved to DC, I had an idea for a book called The Soil is Good. And I'm the type of person that whatever's in my head, I have to get in my head so I can see it on paper. So I wrote it out. I Googled images like I was an illustrator just to kind of see what it would look like. I put it in like a book form, and then we moved to DC, right? So it was always there packaged. And then once she was born, I just said, I'm going to finish this book. I'm going to finish this idea. So I was really lucky to find my illustrator just happened to be my husband's ex. Like they have
Wow.
a child together. I put it out on Facebook that I was looking for an illustrator, and she responded, and she's phenomenal. At the time she lived in South, so we were communicating South and from DC and South America. So with me, I'm breastfeeding, I'm up late nights, I'm correcting, I'm editing, making sure the illustrations are on point. I was just determined, even though I was, in a season of breastfeeding and waking up early and not getting enough sleep, I was so proud of myself in March 2016 when I was able to publish this independently and get an idea that I had before she was born, before she was thought about, come to fruition.
Yeah.
And I released my second book July last year. That was an idea before I moved to DC, and just pushing through. You know how busy being a mom is. People on this call who are mothers, they know the demands of it. But for me, it was asking my family, asking my partner, my husband, hey, I need an hour. Hey, can you hold her, watch her? Because that first 5 years, the children really need their moms more because we're providing the sustenance.
Mm-hmm.
And in my case, I provided the sustenance for 5 years.
She breastfed for 5 years. Yeah. Wow.
She breastfed for 5 years. So I would literally either be on the call or working, and she's right here, right? She's just right there. And
Wow.
You just got to push through. And so it was just that inner voice, inner motivation, inner drive. I was fortunate in DC to attract a really wonderful mom community that really supported who I am. I had my first book signing at Barnes and Noble. I was
Wow.
just like, wow. So it's the step by step. You want to cry, you want to have a meltdown, you want to be by yourself. I really wanted to just go off to a cabin somewhere for a few days, but that just wasn't my reality, So if I wanted to see something happen and not wait, you got to walk in it. You got to own it, and you got to walk in it. That's it.
So two things that you just said made me think about two things that we actually talked about yesterday. And so I want to ask you about what you think or what you found working with women and getting them to their yes. Are there major barriers? And then you also you mentioned a little bit mindfulness. So I want to talk about that too, because that's something that even like in this pandemic that you've started to share with your community as well. But one thing that I want to highlight that I think we don't talk about enough, I think, between women, and something that we talked about yesterday is how strong our partners are and how that is actually can be a barrier to you in getting the things that you need. And you can unpack that a little bit, but you were talking about just Maybe you want to tell the story about what happened at dinner and all of
If
that.
I'm okay, if I'm understanding the question correctly, I think that I think what Shannon's asking me is I think a lot of times and it's not right or wrong. It's just for me, everything is all awareness. Is this working for me? If it isn't, let's see how I can flip this. Let's see how I can adjust this in a way that can serve the grandest version of myself. And it's as opposed to what the default is attitude, silence. That's all pride and ego.
Mm.
And that's just not having the proper tools to use to really get what you want. And for me, I realized in a marriage or in a relationship that your partner is not responsible to fund or even really support your dreams. It's nice. But it's not that my partner didn't. It's just that I had to learn that if it's placed upon me to do something and to go, then go. Just go. And then you change your frequency. And when you change your frequency, everything else matches up to serve that mission. And then your partner will see it too. And a lot of times women will go into that um, attitude, walking around the house with attitude, silence, with no real communication. And like, why are you mad at him
Right.
or her?
Right.
Why are you upset? Like, just walk in it. Go. If you need some support, if you need assistance, use your voice. Ask
Ask
for it.
for it. Yep.
Ask for it. Don't assume because you're married that they know you like that.
Right.
Like, you gonna it's layers to us. And so if you have a dream, if you have a goal, if you have an idea, build it step by step. It's not overnight, step by step. You can share it, but make sure you share it with people who, it's important to share your dreams with people who breathe life into you and you breathe life into them. I have realized on my journey that when you decide to go and march forward in who you are, you will lose friends. You
Mm.
are going to lose friends, or you're going to lose people that once occupied the front row. Now
Right.
they're way in the back. They don't deserve it anymore. And personally, for me, I can't even afford to entertain it anymore. I just can't afford it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's wild. Well, thank you for that. Well, and I asked that you share that, and I do think it's an aspect that maybe we don't talk about a lot in regards to our partners and the influence they can have on us, and that like us not knowing that that's what that is, that we haven't had validation right from our partner, and that's what's holding us back. That we need them to say, "Great job, hun," or whatever, which hopefully they will. But
I
for that to be the thing that pushes you to go, you can't count on that
and that
necessarily.
shift only happened, that awareness only happened to me. I think it was 2017 or 18, and we were in a restaurant, my husband and my daughter, and I was sharing him this idea, and he just was like, "Well, why don't you wait?"
Mm.
And I didn't like that. So I got up and left them at the restaurant and walked home by myself with an attitude. But the good thing was, I had a flight the next day, and I was so busy working, and because he didn't really see it, I was even more determined. Like, I'm
Yep.
about to do this. I'm about to, So I realized that also he's just not. Nobody has to. The dream is set on your heart. That vision has been placed on you.
Yep.
You are the vessel. So no one else has to get it. But as long as you put forth your just put forth the work in building it brick by brick. Everything is brick by brick, step by step. We sometimes have the big vision, like, oh, but it really is, you have to build it. And sometimes this pandemic is a great example of how you have to be resilient. You have to switch things up. You have to change your offerings to your clients because you have to serve them. You have to add value. You have to solve problems, and you have to meet people where they are.
Yep.
And then that's it. So you have to be able to move and be resilient and serve and flip things around. And that's it.
That's great. That's really great advice. I've seen a lot of people starting to do that, which is encouraging.
It
Um,
is.
and even, you know, thinking about, for me, just to share something I've been thinking about doing, which I will implement. I see my friend on here, Ebony. She's like, I don't want to talk about ideas. I just want to see it when it's done. So I'm like, okay, is a work from home box, right? So I created a queen and baby box for moms to pump at work. And right now, a lot of us are not going into work and being in
Mm,
the office. You know, so the questions I've been asking is like, well, what does the pumping mom need in their home, right? Those comforts where I think for those who are, you know, of us who are privileged enough to be able to obtain the necessities that we need, we have those. But what are those comfort items that will make you feel confident and supported in this time? And so that's what I feel that I'm supposed to be doing for moms because I had such a hard time in my own journey. So thinking, okay, but how can I switch up what I'm doing to offer that? So
yeah.
yeah, you do have to keep your thinking cap on
Yeah.
and
This
respond.
this pandemic is showing us that if we are to continue to call in our money, and if we are to continue to serve in the highest order, you have to be intelligent enough to figure out their needs. But the person, you said your friend Ebony said, I don't want to see ideas. I just want to, I don't want, what did she say again?
Like she doesn't want to necessarily talk about the ideas. She wants to see that it's been implemented. And that is for me, right? Because I talked even about Queen and Baby Box for months, probably close to a year. And one day she called me and she's like, I have never seen a box. I give you 24 hours. I need to see a box. And I was like, okay. Because I was waiting for it to be perfect, which I think
You
is
were talking
another.
about it.
I was talking about it and needing it to be perfect. I needed the idea to be perfect. I needed, I don't know what, I don't know what was going to happen. It was just
Wow.
going to magically appear. And so she saw that and was like, no, I give you 24 hours to go to this, like figure it out. And I want to see a box put
She
together,
held you
whatever you have to
accountable.
do. She did. She did.
So what did you
And I
learn from
produced the
that in
box.
terms of like, what did you learn from a month of trying to be perfect? What did you learn moving? What would you do differently this time?
Well,
Would you?
so I would just do it. I think what I learned is that several things. One, you don't know if your idea is going to work until you bring it to life, until you try a version of it, an example, because you need feedback. You need feedback from yourself, like, oh, this actually doesn't work. It's the box is too heavy, or there's whatever, right? You come up against whatever those barriers could be. But then you also need response and feedback from your potential clients. It could be a thing like nobody needs this, right? So then that's not a good idea. Um, I think
Mm.
I, I think I also live, I can live in the feeling of accomplishment through ideating, right? So here I am. I'm like, that's a great idea, Shannon. Write that down. And then now it's almost like to-do lists are also not good for me because once I write down the to-do list, it's as if I've done something, but I've only collected the things that I need to do. So ideating, which is it is a strength of mine, but it also gives me a sense of completion. And so
So
I do need.
it sounds like you also might be the person who enjoys the idea process, but you could benefit from other smart people that hears your idea, supports your idea, whatever area that needs to be tweaked. You have that group, but they also hold you accountable to deadlines.
Yes, yes. Because that was the kick in the pants, right? And
Right.
of course, I respect her and love her. And I'm like, all right, she gave me 24 hours. I could have been like, girl, whatever. But, right? So
Yeah.
here I am. And so then I figured it out. I went to different places and put together a box. It wasn't perfect. But then I felt so great. Like that it was a greater sense of accomplishment, right? Not just the idea that I thought was a good idea, but now I have the thing. And then I think 2 days later, I had a girlfriend was having a sleepover, and so I brought it with me to
Mm.
gain feedback, which was, you know, it felt like the universe was aligning then, right? Because now it's supporting this energy that I put behind this
Yes.
idea,
Yes.
and now I have an opportunity to get feedback
Yes.
and to and then also support, right? Like, oh wow, that's really great. I know a lot of women who would want that. So then that
Yes.
just gave me energy to keep doing the next thing.
And clarity
meaning in
brings,
the next steps.
yes, clarity always brings momentum. So
Hmm,
that's,
that's a gem.
I have lots of gems.
Yes, you do.
But clarity brings momentum, and it's wonderful to see something that's your heart and soul, and that other people see value in that. So I completely encourage you to keep going in that space and giving women what they need in this season of mommying. I think that's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I have a question. We have you ever thinking of, or talking about ideas, have you ever considered something and then didn't move on it and then see someone else do it? Like, did it come up then in the world somewhere else?
Well, don't you did.
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
We need to do a Tori Alamaze Pussycat Dog Challenge. Huh.
Ooh,
Okay.
okay.
I'm putting that out there. Put that out there. Try me.
I
Okay.
love
Try me.
girl.
I can't think of anything. But you and I talked about Big Magic, and
Yep,
really ever since I read that book, I everything that I'm doing now is everything that I've always wanted to do. You are who you've always been. We are who we've always been. And so that's why it's important for your tribe. You got to be around people with a certain mindset. Um, if you're around people who immediately go to like what's not possible, they cannot occupy a front row seat in your life. You got to be around people who are okay with you changing your mind, or um, the whole point is to always find who you are and walk into that space. I mean, like gloriously walk and own that space. But I've never had an idea that just went off to somebody else. I'm always cultivating. I'm one person. I have a lot of things that I do, which is why I'm called a multipotentialite. And a multipotentialite is a person with multiple skills and disciplines, experiences that cross connect, cross intersect. And sometimes in that cross intersection, grander possibilities take place. Like
Mm,
even me adding accountability coach to my roster wasn't anything that I tagged myself. Other people, other really brilliant people around me who saw that in me. I would have
yeah,
never put coach next to my name. But I really believe we are who we've always been. And when I think about it, I've been like this since I was a teenager. I just didn't know that it was something to monetize. I thought you had to be a licensed therapist. But I was the teenager that was in personal development forums like Landmark Education when I was 16 and 17 years old that my parents put me into. I didn't volunteer,
yeah.
and I didn't
Right. How would you
complain
even
about it.
know?
Yeah,
Right.
I didn't complain, but I was the only like kid there. It was a weekend thing, and I was just there in this personal development space. And I've always been, and then my parents, we had always had a library in the house. So my stepdad always had me reading Anthony Robbins, Zig Ziglar, Les Brown books.
Wow.
And I didn't get it then, but I was always the person that was like the Oprah in school. Like,
Yeah. For
yeah,
your friends?
people have problems and write letters to me in the hallway, and I would give them a response when the bell rang again when we switched classes. So but I didn't know what
Wow.
that was. I had no idea. It literally was 2018, living in Washington, D.C., and other brilliant mothers. My friend who's a CNN political analyst, she pointed it out. Like, they're like, yo, you got a gift. And when I thought about it, and initially it was scary as shit, like, coach, what kind of coach? What do I do?
Right.
And then literally is my instinct, my go-to is when women come to me, or just creatives come to me and they're stuck somewhere. I have the ability not only to listen, but I ask the right questions. I ask certain questions, and I find that when you listen enough, most people, when they get stuck, it's usually something that's incomplete from their childhood. And then that's the space that I get to go to, and we get to explore that, and we get to clean that up
Mm.
and reprogram that. Because I love nothing more than to see a woman walk into the grandest version of herself while mommy in. I will only communicate when they share their ideas with me. I only communicate with that. Period. I only
Yep.
support that. Anything else, I'm not. I don't entertain. I am supporting you and keeping you connected and accountable to that yes that you declared you want for yourself.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep. I have to say, and you talked about thinking about it and recognizing that you had been doing this for such a long time. And in my experience of you, right, you did that for me in college in a way, right? Like you, the energy that you possess is so strong in that, like you can feel that you're grounded in yourself and you know who you are. You want to share that. You invite people into that space because I feel like you want other people to share that with you. So you bring people along, but you're also that person. I wrote in my post, like, she will show you the mirror, and so that you have to fix your face. Like you, like being around you, it's not, what's the word? You require authenticity and
Mm.
the truth. So you're that person that you're like, okay, I can't lie to her. I can't make it up. I have to come clean here. So I think that's also what will push you forward and make you a very successful coach because you require people to be authentic with you. Even if they've been lying to themselves, there's something that I need to tell her the truth about this thing.
Yeah, because I never ask people, like, what do you do? Like, it's so corny. Who are you? Who are you? What do you enjoy?
Yeah.
What do you spend the most time doing? What books have you read? What podcasts do you listen to? What audibles? You know, who it's such a corny question. It's an uncomfortable question all my life for me. And what do you do? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Especially when you're dating and that, guys ask that stupid question,
Yeah.
you know, what?
Well, also when you do a lot of different things, it's like, how do I answer that, right? Or at least that's where my mind goes. I analyze everything. But um
Right.
and those questions I think throw people off balance because they're not used to being asked that, right? They're used to being asked, what do you do? And
We're
not, who are you?
robots.
Right. And then you're
Robots.
just like, whoa, who
Yeah,
am I?
it's just it's a typical. I mean, because we're sort of trained to kind of have these linear careers. My life has been very ziggy, you know, without a tribe. So, but I didn't really have like a support or community. It was just like, well, I have to figure it out. I have to pay attention. I have to connect dots. I have to
Yeah.
connect dots. And one of the things that helped me to connect dots is my 5 a.m. meditations. I've been practicing that for 2 years. That also did not come from me just being like, oh, she's so spiritual.
Right.
It came from I don't have enough time to do what I need to do because I'm dropping off, picking up my kid from school every day, and the time goes by.
Mm-hmm.
And I called a mom friend, and complained about it. And she actually, mind you, this lady had a 3-year-old and a newborn baby girl at the time. And her response to me was, well, Tori, I've been getting up at 5 a.m. and I've been doing this thing called Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. You should get the book. She had me, when she said 5 a.m. Here's the thing, just like you, Shannon, with a 3-year-old and an infant, you're never mad at a mom who is tired and needs her rest,
Right.
ever. But the fact that this woman said, I get up at 5 because I need to get things done. And she went on to say, by 8 o'clock, Tori, 8 a.m., I've gotten a lot of things done. I've returned my email. I've meditated. I've stretched. I've visualized. I've read. I, I've taken a shower and I've returned these emails. And, I feel like I have 26 hours in a day. And so I quickly ordered this book, read the book. And the
Right.
beautiful thing about her, this is where I talk about your tribe and accountability. I got the book, and literally I said, well, I'm going to start. We would text each other at like 5:15, 5:30. You up? Yep. You up?
Wow. Yep.
Yep. And then we will meet later for coffee. Like, girl, I did my miracle morning. I feel good. And then she recently told me I have been since the pandemic started, I've been offering 8:15 a.m. meditations on Thursdays, which I will be offering in the morning. So I'll be doing a live meditation on Instagram and Facebook. And so she actually came in and said, you have inspired me to keep the 5 a.m. going. Because there have been
Wow.
times that she wanted to slack. And I'm just like, I do this meditation, and now because of the pandemic, I do not do it at 5 a.m. because it's just not necessary to do that now. The schedule is switched. I have to
Sure.
give myself some grace because I did try it, but I realized when I was done, it was like, okay, it's only like 7 o'clock, and everybody's still sleeping.
And there's nowhere to go.
I don't have nothing to do. I can't go to the gym. Like, it's nothing to do. So I was like, oh, this is a waste. And then, so yeah. And then when you go back to bed, you end up and go back to sleep, you wake up later. So I didn't like that feeling.
Right.
So I just sleep in, and when I get up, I do it. But meditation consistently, I mean, every single day is a lifestyle for me. Yoga is a lifestyle for me. I've already invested in 2 international yoga retreats. 2018, I went to Senegal. 2019, we did Mauritius. And it really, as a mom, it's how I fill my well. Because I cannot give from an empty well. I cannot. And that means I'm giving crumbs to my family. And I don't want my family to get the crumbs and the remains of me. So investing in myself, going across the world, because Mauritius is an island in the middle of the Indian Ocean, 30 hours away. And so the yoga retreats are plant-based chefs. We start at 7 a.m. with yoga. We start with a cleanse. I mean, it's just amazing. It's just an amazing way to feel your well, particularly for a mom.
How long were you away? And this leads to a question because I travel as well. How do you leave your children? How does that feel? How do you prepare? Okay.
Fine. No, seriously, I will admit that, you know, in fact, you know what? Just the other day, my daughter said to me, she said, Mommy, I remember, she said, you went to Mauritius. And she actually had real tears in her eyes when she said this. She said, Mommy, I was sad because I didn't want anything to happen to the plane.
Oh,
So
wow.
things like that are a real thing. I mean, I had tears in my eyes when I had to walk away from the airport, but at the same time, I'm walking into something expansive, rich, enriching for me. I'm parasailing above the Indian Ocean. I'm jumping into secret waterfalls on the mountainside of Mauritius. I'm walking past peacocks,
Right.
beautiful
Yep.
peacocks, just there. So it's I mean, I literally had a dress on and jumped into an unexpected waterfall. That's amazing.
Wow.
In fact, I'm going to post it. I'm going to post it because it was just it was amazing. It was an amazing enrich. And the first time I went on this trip, I didn't know anybody except the yoga teacher. And you meet people from different races and cultures. It was probably only really like 2, 3 Black girls.
Yep.
Um, Yet
It's amazing.
it just opened me up and expanded me. And the yoga teacher the second yoga teacher, I absolutely fell in love with her. I mean, because it's soul friendships, and I'm all about the soul connection because that's the authentic connection. So it just expanded me on so many levels. Yoga actually saved my life because after we lost the twins, that was 3 babies we cremated, 3. And so I wanted to have another child. I wanted to give it another go. And so I was like, okay, you have to get your body strong again. And I know that when you carry, you have to have a strong back and abdomen. And so I work out. I'm guns,
Yeah. Yeah.
guns.
Always.
But I wanted to get my body soft. So for the first time in my life, 2011, I started practicing yoga for the first time in my life.
Wow.
And it was just amazing. It was a surrendering process, and then breathing. Like, a lot of us don't know how to breathe. I get clients that say, Tori, I don't know how to breathe properly. So in my yoga class, hi Damien. Y'all, that's Damien Hall from Guy. So say, hey, boo. Uh,
Hey.
so I just started to I teach people in my meditations to just breathe properly from the abdomen, not the stress from your throat or your chest. So yoga saved my life. I was very honest with my teacher. Sometimes I would be in the back of the room with tears coming down. Hi, Robbins. And
That's my
so
auntie.
oh, hi, Auntie.
She's a cheerleader, totally, all
She
day.
listen, I see she is on and popping. Hey, Robin. You know, I love a good Robin. My mother's name is Robin, so I love a good Robin. And so my yoga teacher, I told her the truth about what I was dealing with. She also saw something in me. She said, T, you're so strong. I want you to come to the front of the room, front of the class. So I was starting in the back. So each day she would kind of lead me closer and closer to the front of the class. And so I just really started to surrender, to let go. And to me, yoga started to turn into like church for me, like gratitude. My chest would open, my heart would open. And then there was a time when I said, her name was Veronica, my yoga teacher. I said, you know, I think I'm ready to, I had the transabdominal cerclage in place. I said, I think I'm ready to get pregnant. She said, okay, come in 30 minutes earlier and we're going to do some fertility poses. So we would do fertility poses. Boo, I got pregnant. Boo,
Wow.
pregnant. Yoga saved my life.
What?
Yoga, and it got me snatched, okay?
It does do that.
Listen,
It
it
does.
saved my life because it taught me how to breathe and how to surrender. I mean, how many times you're driving your car, right? And you're focused. How many times your shoulders up to your ears and you're
Right.
gripping the steering wheel? You're not even aware. And you might even have like a frown right here. You're like,
Hmm.
you know? So with yoga, it's like awareness. Put your shoulders down, release the steering wheel. It's awareness. Yoga gives you the opportunity to observe yourself, which is why when I make mistakes, I'll be very honest and say, the other day, a few days ago with my husband, we were outside in the backyard enjoying a nice evening breeze, and in a conversation, I snapped. In my head, I feel like I wasn't being heard. Always somebody said yoga saved me too. Yoga makes me cry. Yes. So I snapped, and when I snapped, really 2 minutes later, I kind of thought about it, put my head down, and I said, you know, I apologize for snapping at you. I feel like I was, what's the word I use, Shannon? I feel like I was, gosh, what's the word I use? I feel like I was responding to him the way I saw my mother respond in
Mm.
her marriage. And that's another thing this pandemic is doing right now. Like, I feel like a lot of, trauma or stuff from our childhood, it comes up because we're not busy. So you have
My
to,
my friend said projecting. Was that the
right.
word you're looking?
Well, it was what was the word? Reenacting. I
Ah,
feel like I was reenacting a scene I witnessed as a child, unknowing, unconsciously, right? And then,
yeah.
but the minute I said it, and I saw his response, I owned it and I apologized for it. And when I apologized for it, he appreciated it, and he also said I could listen more, and we were good.
Wow.
We continued to enjoy. So yoga gives me that level of awareness that I would probably not have otherwise. Um, that I'm so grateful for. Um, I like to tease my aunts who are I call them Jesus cheerleaders. Um, they're, did you go to church? And I said, yeah, I did yoga. And it
Ah.
pisses them off, and I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So yoga is was a total game changer for me. And I also teach my daughter yoga. And one of my goals for 2020 was to also get a kids teacher certificate to teach children's yoga that complements and goes along with my children's book, The Soil is Good.
Love it. So what um are you doing your own yoga practice from the like the moves that you know, or are you tuning into someone specific during
I
this
usually
time?
kind of have I'm kind of too lazy sometimes to go find a practice, so I just use my own stuff that I do. Um, yeah, I think that especially in this in pandemic, I'm usually like I lift weights, I cross country, all this stuff, but I haven't really been going hard since the pandemic. So the yoga and the meditation has been what has sustained me so far.
Yeah.
I usually go hard with working out, but other than the weights I have here and my resistance ropes and stuff, it's really the yoga that gives me what I need. And for children, I think the sooner, the younger they learn how to find their own center, the
Mm.
better off they'll be in trusting themselves. So when, I know Sophia probably has her have meltdowns, Offset
Yes.
has meltdowns, and they just don't have the language, and that's okay. So what I always tell her is, find your center, take 3 deep breaths. Mommy will breathe with you. So I'll look
I
in her
like that a
eyes
lot.
and I'll breathe with her. You trust mommy? Yes, mommy. And then she can, have you found your center? Yes, mommy. And that's really all she needed was that one-on-one eye contact attention from her mom. And then she goes on about her business. That's it.
I love that. Particularly now, right? Like where it, I mean, meltdowns happen for us multiple times per day, and there's just so many hours in the day. It's just like, oh my God, how,
Because
what are we going to
the
do
thing
now?
is, if you ignore them or you kind of go, and of course that happens with me. Of course, I'm nowhere near perfect. It happens, but if you ignore them and you go, and all that stuff, it teaches them that their feelings are not good,
Yeah.
and you should not. It just gives them the message that feelings are not good. So feelings are just something that you go through, and it'll pass. So I have been since she was little, as young as your daughter. It really is. Mommy will take 3 deep breaths. Mommy will breathe with you, and it's actually funny to watch because they're like,
That little,
but when you're doing it with them, eye to eye, it's a trust. And actually, I said, "Do you trust me? Do you trust mommy?" Yes.
that's
You
sweet.
know. Yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Um, so do you have, putting you on the spot, I guess, I mean, you've dropped gems and you've given us a lot of advice. But for this time in particular, and I guess kind of focused on all the things that you embody, coaching, really advocating for women to follow through it with what it is that they're passionate about. So, any advice on how to focus on that now during this time, and then how to push forward, um, even after this time ends?
I would say the thing that if you're uncomfortable, stay there. Explore that. Explore why you're uncomfortable. Why do you need to be busy? You know, we're forced to sit still now. We don't have any real excuses, really. So instead of trying to find something to explore that, why do I need to do something? Why am I having this block? And then let it pass. Let it pass. Don't run from it, because when you walk across that bridge to the other side, that's where your freedom is. It's so much I've learned from ever since I in the past 5 years living in DC, having the types of losses that I had with caring. I didn't have a miscarriage. I gave birth to all of my children, C-section, 7-hour labor, and still they didn't take a breath. So it taught me so much um, about who I am and my resilience and my magic. Own our magic, own our gifts, own was always there. Even if the people you love and trust, like your parents or your siblings or your teachers, even if they don't see it, don't validate it, somebody does. It's owning your magic. That's the conversation I've had with Tori. Owning your magic. There are insecurities. There are things that I have to deal with from my childhood. Sometimes that creeps up, but I stay there and I feel it. Feel it. Then for me, and then it's having compassion for that little girl. Having compassion for that little girl. You don't know what you just don't know. You know, having compassion for her and then moving forward in that. And then walking into the unknown. It's like, you know what? I talk to myself all the time. You know, this is scary as shit. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm just going to trust my gut. Mm-hmm. Just like how when you created your package, your offer, I mean, the time we spend, it's like, we're not sure. We're not certain because it's new. It's brand new. Just like having a baby. We carry it for 9 months. We don't really know what kind of kid, what kind of mother. We don't know. It's walking into the unknown. But being a mom is just a badass warrior position. So take that badassery and put that into other things. Because we don't, it's the unknown. You don't know what kind of personality this person's going to have. You don't know what their needs are going to be. You don't know. They could be colicky and crazy. Thank God that wasn't the case here. But take that badassery that's required of a mom, just of caring, and then bringing forth life, and then cultivating and nurturing that life. Take that badassery and pour that into other parts of you so that that does not get buried further and further away. You do not want to end this life with regrets. You do not want to have a dream, an idea, a talent, a skill. My grandmother passed away in 2005. I think she was 79 years old. My grandmother was a classically trained pianist. Never played again because she married men who were abusive and who did not breathe life into her.
My goodness.
So each generation should get better and better. My mother created a solid foundation for me. My mother breathed life into me. She was a yes, you can mother. So if she gave that to me, the foundation I got, my daughter is going to be phenomenal. And any other child that I am cross paths with, because I love to breathe life into people. I love to see the best parts of people.
Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
So I want to make sure that everybody knows.
And questions too. Ask any
questions. Okay, so please submit your questions right now. I'm like, what time is it, by the way?
It's 9:25.
Okay, because at some point this thing's gonna be like, you have 1 minute, and then if we're still in the middle of it, we'll pop out and then come back in.
Okay.
So please submit your
questions.
Anybody
have questions? And Shannon, I love those cute little dimples. Yes.
Oh, thanks. Yes. You know.
Yes. Doesn't your daughter have those dimples?
Sophia has them. She does. Yeah.
Anybody have questions for us?
While we're waiting on them, tell us the titles of your 2 books.
Okay.
And then, and then how you can.
You can get both of these books on Amazon. This is, I'm sure it's backwards, but this is called A Girl Survival Guide to Womanhood. Quotes to Grow and Go. It's on Amazon. You can find the link on my page, Tori Alamaze. I also have a children's book called The Soil is Good. And in that book, I use seed and soil to describe, as metaphors, to describe how the subconscious mind works in a child's language and understanding. I think the sooner that they understand what the subconscious mind is, how it works, the sooner they'll be a part of that co-creative process. And what else? Link in my, you can go to on my page, you can click the link in my bio and you can get a free download for a mindset checklist. If there are things that you really want to tap into, an idea that's always been there and you haven't just gone with it, I have a free mindset checklist that you can download and subscribe. Then you'll be able to subscribe to my accountability coach and see what kind of offerings I have in that space. So everything is on the link in my bio on my page at Tori Alamaze.
And I think you can click through on here. Everybody can to get that. But I'm going to try this one thing I've seen everybody else doing.
Okay, let's try
it. Pin it. I see everybody else. Tori. Let's see. Alamaze.
Somebody said name of the book. Did somebody say that?
Yeah.
Oh, it's
How
Tori
does it,
Alamaze.
I
Okay.
gotta figure out how to,
It did it.
okay, good. Well, there's people can pin it. If anybody knows,
Oh,
we can talk about this later. I don't know.
okay.
And then it's the soil
The
is
soil is good.
good.
Oh,
There we go,
Robin.
Auntie.
Auntie
Yeah.
Robin.
And then if they put in the soil is good, why isn't it going away? Could they also then find your other book? Like,
Absolutely. They're
are they
linked.
connected?
Yeah, they're linked together.
Okay.
And somehow I hit a comment. I'm going to ask about the name of the book. Did you get it, Inner Wisdom Doula? I love a doula, by the way. The children's book is The Soil is Good. And my book for young women is A Girl Survival Guide to Womanhood, Quotes to Grow and Go. Isn't that a beautiful cover?
It's beautiful.
My husband's ex did it. She did.
So she did this one too?
She did both my books.
Girl.
She did both my books. So you can
Oh
get
my gosh.
both of them easily on my page. Go to link in bio, download your free mindset checklist. Everything is mindset, mindset, mindset. I love things to blow my mind. Okay. And flip some things around so that I can have a different perspective.
Love it.
Yeah.
So it's telling me I have a minute and 32 seconds left. I don't see any questions. I can't. Do you see? You don't see my keyboard, do you?
No.
Okay, good. My cousin Roche asked, is the children's book available for Kindle? Can they download
Yes,
it?
absolutely. It's available for Kindle. Yep. And I actually had a week of free of it being free on Kindle, but yeah, I think it's like $4 or something now. But yeah, it's available on Kindle. Yes.
Awesome. Oh, thank you. Everyone's mama says thank you. This has helped me so much. That's amazing.
Thank you.
I prayed about this before we even went live to make sure that just to ask for that, right? That we help someone and that we can share. So, thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
And last 30 seconds, tomorrow morning, if we just join your live on your page at 8:15, we can
8:15.
meditate with
You
you.
can meditate. You can join me live on Instagram or Facebook.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I don't want us to cut off and it'd be kind of crazy. So we have 28 seconds. I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your story, your wisdom, and your personality with us. I think that's so important too. So thank you
Thank you,
again.
Shannon.